Hey, Frankie.
Thanks for having me. This is really fun. And I was I actually have it's really rainy here and it's a solar eclipse and I'm just gonna chill today. We're just gonna keep this a chill day. Got some chili on the crock pot. We don't have to leave the house. It's fine.
That's good. Are we ready? Do you have a
We're
question,
ready.
JB?
Let's. Oh, you want me to? Okay. So the first question. So we have a list of questions that we wrote and
Sounds good.
people tests. So I'm going to
Yeah.
start from there. And the first one is, how long have you been writing, Frankie?
Uh um I don't know, a couple years, 3 years now. Yeah, I started almost 30 when I've turned around, I think it's 29 or so. So yeah, it's been a fun journey. It's you learn a lot about yourself when you're creative, that's for sure. So yeah, it hasn't been long. It wasn't something that I grew up thinking like, oh, I want to be a writer when I grow up. It was not that at all. So but life is funny. The universe gets you here somehow.
Mhm. And
When did you
how
learn?
long does it take you to write each book? Do you have a?
Um, It really depends. So I've written a full length novel and then technically two novellas. I have one on my website for free, and then I have A Flight to Love that's out on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited, and then the latest release is the Honeymoon Mix-Up. So um, I write a lot of like short stories and some smaller pieces, even flash fiction from time to time, but. Um, it really depends, I've noticed. So with the novella, it was a month and a half,
Wow.
right? And then with the honeymoon mix-up, it was multiple years because the so one thing that's fascinating is a lot of you'll hear this a lot with writers. Hey, a lot of people will have pieces that they just have in a drawer somewhere shoved in there, and they don't see the light of day. Well, uniquely enough, the honeymoon mix-up was one of those books for me that I just didn't give up on. And it was
Mm.
like it was like that one that I put away and then I came back to it, and it's been really cool. I'm glad that I did in this case um, bring that back, but yeah, it's transformed a lot over the years, so it's really neat.
We're glad too.
Yeah,
I was going to
yeah.
ask you, you said that the writing, that you've learned a lot of things about yourself. What was one of those things that you were like, oh, I didn't know that?
Um, I don't think I think I don't believe I'm a writer who writes every day. And that's I for me sometimes it depends on I would say, well, the thing that I learned a lot was when it comes to like your expectations of what something looks like versus like your reality. Um, and that's just something you have to embrace as a creative and like what works for you. So, funny story, I sat down to write A Flight to Love, or really just in general, any book, but I sat down with the intention to almost write kind of like Anna Stone. You're gonna laugh. To write kind of like, oh, I'm really inspired. That's really cool style. And I wrote, and I sit there and I write A Flight to Love, for example, and I'm looking at the end of this draft, and I'm like, how did an emu get in this book? So it's just fascinating what you learn. I wasn't intending to like write almost kind of rom-commy style things. You just learn about what comes natural to you. So yeah.
And what would you say is the hardest part of writing for you? Jade asked that question.
Ooh, that's a great question. Honestly, just believing that you could do the thing, that you could do the thing and it will be okay. And with the honeymoon mix-up, as you can tell, it's a very diverse world. And I was really nervous about that because I didn't really see a lot of that. And I was like, are people even going to want to read this thing? And here we are, and it's been a blast to see it just become a book that people really enjoy to read. It's just very honored to feel like really positive that you just kind of got out of your own way to do a thing. And that's a hard part, right? That's a hard part for anything in life. But yeah, that was a big one for me, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Louise wants to know who inspired the characters in this book.
Hmm. Let's see here. Basil Fallon Carrington from the TV show. Oh, I'm having a blank right now. Um, oh, I cannot remember what the TV. If someone knows what I'm talking about, drop it in the chat. But
Dynasty, someone says?
yes, yes. I don't know why I like Dynasty, but her personality, Farrington's personality, and actually her character growth over time. But that was one person that was just um very much like when I thought about Basil writing her, I was very much in line with like her personality. I would think it's toned down a couple notches, but the person who has a lot to learn, the privileged, the rich person, right? And it was just really it's really fun. Caroline, I really only had Basil was the first character I thought of when I went to write the book. I wanted someone with like the themes and the struggles that she had to overcome. I really liked that perspective. Ironically enough, when I first started this book years ago, it's when I say transformed, it's been a while, been a ride. So it actually was Caroline was going to be a writer. Yeah, yeah. Caroline was going to be a writer that went to this island for writer's block and try to, figure out her life through that way. And it's just really funny. She's a PI. Um, but yeah, for me, it's more just my imagination, and even with Basil, that was like the tone of voice was probably comparable to, like I said, the Farrington, Fallon in the for that book. But overall, I just hear the voices, and they kind of I discovered as they come through. Um, Lynn and May are same thing. They're just I wanted them to be fun, and they were a blast to write. Yeah,
What
You
about
need a shirt that
Victoria?
says, I do what the voices tell me to do.
that's right. That's right.
The muse. So, do you know a Victoria in real life? And did you enact revenge? Because we were talking about it in the book club. It was like, oh my God, that's like the perfect
Wouldn't it
revenge.
be? Yeah. No, I didn't know of Vic. Well, I know of it's like it's bullying in this. Like most people are aware and have unfortunately some form of experience in that, especially in the queer community. And I just felt like it was a story that could be relatable in general to people. And you don't really see, when it comes to the revenge piece, there was an opportunity to like, it could have flat out been revenge, end of the plot line, end of the storyline. But I really loved the idea of them coming together and really discussing it like adults and in showing that character growth. I think that's really important. And I think that is the piece that often is missing when things like this in real life happen, because like, how often do people get bullied or something 20 years later? Sometimes it does, but I just thought it was a really important um piece to add to the story, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I have a question from Jade. Your writing flows really well. Do you think that comes naturally, or do you have to work really hard at that flow?
It's hard for me to get into the flow, but once I'm into the flow, and I'm the type of writer that once I'm there, I'm like inches away from my computer screen or phone, and I'm really immersed into the story. But it takes a while to get me there. I will say that's something I've learned, and you kind of have to trial and error a lot, and sometimes depending on the book, it could be pretty different. But this one had a lot of coffee shop trips and a lot of writing outside And like sprints did not work, like writing sprints did not work for this book, but the last book they worked. So it's really, really interesting. And you're just kind of learning and going with the flow of change, in my experience. So
Why did you do it in first person?
the the psychic distance or the closeness, I was the relationship to the characters with um on the page for me was very important to get to capture. And when I did attempt to write this, I did write it in third person past, and it
Mm.
just didn't feel right. I was having a hard time getting where I wanted to with the characters. And again, it kind of goes back to that voice, and I was having a harder time hearing that more clearly. So once I tried first person. That wasn't any intention. It just another writer was like, "Hey, I think you'd be good at this," and I was like, "No," because I didn't read first person books. I rarely do even now, which is ironic, but I was like, no, no. And then I tried because I read some of her stuff and I was like, I really like this. This is interesting. And then I tried it and I was like, oh, this is really good. I really so and that's kind of just how it just became a thing. And this is before even understanding that a lot of romance novels began to did it because I was only reading majority of the time third person past. So it was just what felt good um from that point. So yeah.
And it works.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Good. Let's see. Did you have any training in writing? Louise wants to know.
I wouldn't say like I don't have any degrees in writing. I come from a tech background, very, even telecom, spent a lot of years. I used to work outside, so like the telephone poles and stuff. So someone always makes a joke about, oh, you work on the poles. Okay, yeah, okay. But it's so my approach to writing was really different for me out of like using the creative side of my brain, reading the creative brain. Um, and yeah, it's not overly difficult, but it can be challenging at times to transition from like more analytical troubleshooting, almost like that editing mindset to just kind of letting things flow naturally. Yeah. Hope that answered your question.
I think so. Otherwise, Louise will
Yeah.
chat. Probably. Oh, what do you do when you have writer's block?
Oh, I go outside if I can go outside. I work out. I do something that's not related to the book. Or one thing that's really helps me a lot is using like friends or family as soundboards. And that's really helpful. And just again, I think a lot of times for writer's block, it's lacking clarity of what's next. I'm not a plotter. I don't consider myself like a full-fledged plotter. I'm more of the plantser type, more pantser than plotter. But overall, it's just a matter of getting getting perspective and getting out of your own way a little bit. And sometimes it could be a little bit of self-doubt too, but it's just understanding getting in front of like what's next, even if it's not three chapters away, but it's that immediate next point. So that's that helpful for me.
I'm wondering, so we've had Little Biscuit and we've had Quilliam.
Yeah,
How are
yeah.
you choosing the animals that you're putting in your books? What's you
I'll
have?
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how.
Yeah.
So this is literally it's almost kind of impulsive too, but I'll literally be on like YouTube, Reddit, it doesn't matter, but some type of social media, usually or TV. And for example, I've done this recently. I get on YouTube, I watch a YouTube video, I see a random short, and I'm like, ooh, that's a cute animal. And I saw a prairie dog and I was watch this YouTube short of this prairie dog, and I'm like, I'm in love with this prairie dog named Poppy. I need to make it like I need to figure this out. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it's gonna be a thing, right? And stuff like that. And I'll go to my notes and say prairie dog, and then I'll go down this rabbit hole of fun videos. Sometimes it could just be a thing that it's like I said, an instant inspiration in the moment. But yeah, it's completely random. I wish I had a better answer to be like, oh, so clever, but it's completely random.
I think that's a perfect answer. And actually, we were talking in the book club, and I was like, somebody asked, does it make you want any of the animals? I was like, oh my God, I so want a freaking hedgehog. And Alice was sharing that her coworker brought a hedgehog to work with them yesterday.
Incredible.
I was like,
Yeah, it's incredible.
so
They're so cute. There's a hedgehog person near here, and I went and visited, and there was like 20 hedgehogs, and I was just loving it. Yeah, it was. I got to hold them, and it was really fun. One was a little fussy. The babies were just, it was incredible. Yeah, and then I got to visit an emu, so I don't. The prairie dog's gonna be a little tough, but yeah, so it's really fun to even do that. That was not planned. It just, like I said, just happened. So
cool. Part of the
yeah,
flow.
yeah, it didn't.
I have a question
Yeah.
again about, let's see. Did you have to do a lot of research for the PI stuff?
I looked at a lot of the process. So, how does it work when you hire a PI? How does it? I didn't go too in depth with it, but I wanted to understand some of the lingos. I researched a lot about the different cases because there was references to divorce asset case in the book. There's references to um, just some of the other types of um, trying to think of workers' comp case, things like that, and like understand what high level what those meant so I can be able to refer to them properly. But I didn't go into, I almost called a PI agency to be like, hey, so, can I interview you guys? But I didn't. I could have, I should have maybe, but I didn't want I didn't want it to turn into one of like, it's very much a romance, kind of fun. And I wanted to keep it that way versus going down the rabbit hole of being a lot more into the weeds of the PI work.
Yeah, because Caroline didn't, I mean, she reported back to her client, the mom.
Right.
Gasp.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but you didn't like write about her taking pictures or, investigating or.
Not too much. No, I really didn't at all, right? Um, yeah, I was just having a lot of fun with the characters' chemistry and their attachment to each other and also against the fear of getting over their own wounds, Caroline's past and Basil's future, really. So I really was stuck, really wanting to emphasize that and keep going with that because I think, yeah, there was, I did do just references to pictures and things like that, but I didn't go too deep into it. But just some high level day in the life stuff for really both of them. Um, so
Okay.
yeah,
Jamie, you have another question?
I have a bunch on our list here.
Okay, me too.
So
nice, nice.
speaking about, their connection, and we were talking actually in the book club too about that first chapter, the fire, bringing the fire right away that led,
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
there's going to be more coming, like propelled the whole story, right? So the question is, you're known for your spicy stories. Some writers choose to fade out when it comes to sex. Why do you choose to go all in, so to speak?
Because I love fire. No. I was the type of reader who would literally skip pages. um, and yeah, I think I really enjoy that level when it comes to romance. I really enjoy the level of heat and spice and it just elevates the chemistry, it elevates the conflict. And I just really enjoy, I think a lot of readers do too, just really enjoy, it's a crucial part of a romance experience for people who want the heat and spice. And again, it kind of goes back to elevating just the conflict. When you have the forced proximity tropes and the one beds, it's just all of that tension just gets so palpable to the point where you're just like, and it just adds to it. And that's one of the big reasons why I choose to. I love that. It's really fun to write as well. So
So
yeah.
you're not one of those writers that has to like have whiskey on the desk when it's like
No,
sex scene time.
no, it would just make me fall asleep. No, but one thing it would do would be better that I or something for me. I would read one of like some of the some older books or even some of my work. Or I would listen to like an audio, right? Just to kind of get into the flow. Because it's just like anything else, it's a flow. Sex scenes ironically take me a long time to really write because I again it's like I'm in front of the screen and I'm staring at it and I'm just like kind of trying to okay, do they have three arms or and just going from there, counting, making sure everything is goes with what I want it to be. So yeah.
That's that's cool.
You gotta count any craft research with like to make sure you don't have any invisible limbs. Like it's really
Sure, it's
funny.
actually
Yeah.
doable. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
sure.
Try anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, well, do you have to? Like, if you go
You
like, can
have
this
to
work
think about it.
for me?
You have to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone calls somebody out usually.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Can the leg really go there? I don't know.
Mine
So
doesn't. Um,
yeah.
Mason wants to know, designing games and writing that kind of action can be really tricky, especially without hurting the overall pace of the novel. You did it beautifully. How did you go about designing the Sapphic Olympics?
Oh, it was one of my favorite parts, to be honest with you. I kept it. I think what made it work a little bit better too was I kept it like a couples Sapphics Olympics. So that kept the focal point. Otherwise, I could see how it'd be really easy to get lost in, a five-person team to do XYZ. But by being able to keep the Sapphic Olympics kind of tight knit groups and teams, it was able to like keep the main focus to the characters, but also adding that conflict, bringing in the conflict with the bully situation and the history. That again, it elevates the conflict and elevates the tension overall. So that was a big part of it, just keeping that focus point and just having fun with it, with going from like with each game or round, I wanted something to change with their relationship. And you could tell from how they were putting in almost fun stuff, like putting furniture together, to how they were like at the championship was just so fun to see the difference. And yeah, that was really it. It's about the transformation and the character arcs, and that was a big part of it.
We all agreed that we have the next book club on Sapphire Island and
Yeah,
want to be in the Olympics. So,
that's it.
um, oh, if you were a participant, would you win?
Oh, I'm fairly competitive, so I'd probably it well I need a partner, right? So I don't know. I don't know if my girlfriend would actually want it. I might have to we have to get a sub in. I don't know if she probably would not want to do this. So I don't
You'll need
know.
a
And it
fake
was
wife.
yeah, exactly. I mean if they something. Uh I would hope so. Now I do kayak ironically now, but I don't think I wouldn't be able to keep up with like people who compete at that kind of stuff. But I would give it a go. I would give it a try because it would be pretty fun. And on the other flip side of that, I love the idea more of me being the person that's announcing the event things. I really like in commentary. Yeah, I kind of think I would want to do
Be the
something like
MC.
that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So she's like, let's get this party started. Let's do have fun. So yeah.
I'm just watchful of the time because maybe people have other plans for the day.
Gotcha.
Should we do like three more questions?
I'm here for
Okay
as
with
long
you?
as you need me.
Good. Okay. Jamie, do you have some more?
Yes. So a big subject in the honeymoon mix-up is trust. Can
Yeah.
Basil trust Caroline once she discovered the truth about her reason for being on the island? Why do you think Basil found a way to trust her despite all that happened?
I believe that Basil had a moment of humility when she realized her her reason for lying and her reason for being distrustful for herself. I think that's a part of the story here when it comes to it was like humbling to realize, oh, well, I'm mad at Caroline, but can I be? I mean, yes, you can, but I was also not honest with myself, and I haven't been for a long time.
Mhm.
And I think that brings perspective into the situation for her and allows her to see kind of Caroline in a more human way in that moment. Um, and also realize like how much he cared for her and loved her, and also realize the complications of that because people like she said, paraphrasing, but she referred to like, well, I was doing it for my job, and she also recognized in that moment that Caroline was also doing a job.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean it was the right or wrong thing, but that was the reality. And it was a mess of the situation. But I believe by her recognizing that and then also taking those steps forward to realize, to make the change that she made, like, quitting and doing all of those things, choosing her and choosing her life path made it led to forgiveness of herself and of Caroline, and to go from there. And I think that was a crucial piece in that.
And to follow up on that, her relationship with her mom.
Yeah,
How do
yeah.
you think, how did she come to be able to forgive her mom for that?
I really don't know if I can really say she forgave her mom so much, or as she just saw, she didn't want, like, beg her to change as much. Like, she didn't express, I need you, all those expectations growing up. And I think this is relatable in general, is that sometimes, and I forgot who told me this, but sometimes parents' best isn't always enough. That's just a reality. Um, and I think that's more of a conclusion where Basil can come into to fully accept who her mom was. That moment where it's like, hey, I just want you to apologize. And it didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. It was the mom trying to do, oh, let me throw money at the situation. Or the mom tried to, eventually you saw the change of Basil giving her instructions of like, hey, I don't want this. This is what I want. And the mom like just complying. That was like her way of like love and toward forgiveness. I don't think there wasn't any, it was more about acceptance and withdrawing those expectations, if that makes sense. I mean, there's forgiveness in how it for her, like I think it was more of like acceptance piece than it was so much of like the heavy forgiveness of like, oh, it's fine, we'll just moving forward, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, there was a little Easter egg about the eventual winners of the Olympics. And I have questions. What is a hobby farmer anyway? Do you intend to have characters from other stories pop up? Is that part of the Fireverse you're creating? What's next?
Yeah, and I was waiting for someone to ask this, but it's like perfect segue into it. The answer is yes. The setup where I can't believe I've never truly posted about this. But the whole Sapphire Isle concept is actually based off of the 80s, old 70s, and 80s TV show Love Boat.
Oh my gosh,
And
yes.
so the concept there is to have like um your stable staffs, and those are the side character, the Lins, the Mays, the Hedgehogs, right? All the fun, those side characters, and then the you have that double bonus of having existing characters from books show up, and also new, just like the TV show, it has the guest speakers, or sorry, guest, not speakers, but guest actors and actresses and such. That was the concept of the TV show, and it was actually filmed on the cruise ships, and that what made it so popular. But I fell in love with this idea of keeping the world like that, and so weaving the other characters from other books, I think for the most part they will show up, and they usually do. And that's just something that naturally happens, and it allows me to continue on with the world. So it's kind of a lot when you really think about it. If you have the stable like staff or Sapphire Isle themes that stay the very same or similar, and then you'll bring that in with like the love of like, oh, I saw this character from 2 books ago, or etc. It's just a lot of fun. So I like that. I hope people, I hope readers and everyone see that as well. So
Will
Maybe
you
Pete
will you
Williams.
be like expanding more on the characters from God, I just blanked from with Little Biscuit in their experience on Sapphire Island?
perhaps.
Ooh,
I think Little Biscuit will be best friends with William.
I do too.
Maybe that would be
Maybe
fun.
Silky.
he can get free rides.
I was gonna say, how in the world? Let's figure out how to get that's a emu over a cruise ship,
I think
huh?
that's a challenge for the next one. So how many books are you planning on the Sapphire Island?
That's originally 4, and then I'll just go from there. It's again with the way the world is, it can make it fun, expand. Sky's the limit. It truly is. It's keeping the world the same, and then fitting the couples can change, and the characters and all of that stuff. So, well, I don't have a definitive number, but that was the original game plan. We'll see if that sticks.
Just keep them coming.
And will we see more of Caroline and Basil in this possible?
Perhaps. For
Hmm.
most
Not getting
likely.
anything more.
Most likely. Yeah.
She does have a business deal with the apothecary, right? With
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah, she sells
so
her soaps and they're, for the business, right? It's those little things that make it fun.
I
Yeah.
saw the future Easter egg there. It's good.
I have a
Um,
question that I didn't see down at the bottom of the form, and are you okay, Caroline?
yeah, no, okay. I'm just watchful for the time. So
Okay. So it's from Maya, who had signed up, but I don't think is here today. A question on themes specifically about being good enough, seeing oneself as good enough in all aspects of life. Why was this such a focus in the book? Was there anything that motivated this being a theme? All meant in a good way, just curious as to how the idea was developed. What do you see of yourself in this? A lot of questions in this book, and how much of yourself do you find in your own writing? Go ahead, Frankie, if you remember all that.
Do you have an hour, right? There's I definitely can say, I won't say it's I can relate 100% to all of the things, but I can relate a little bit to all of my book in a way, and all my characters in a way. And um I think each character, each book has a part of me. Maybe not, again, I don't have any private investigation skills, but um I think that it's the worthy and self-worth theme is a big theme. It's been of something for me, just with my background and upbringing, and it's also been, I think, I stick with themes that, or I try to stick with themes that are very relatable. Um, and I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to at one point or another in their lives. Of Again, I kind of keep coming back to that, but being um, for myself, I was up raised in a small town, and I was adopted. It it gets things can get kind of complicated, right? And there's duality with all of those things, and I think it's important at the end of really any book, especially Sapphic books, any books, that there's queer joy, right? There's joy in the book. And a part of that is loving and accepting yourself, as woo woo as that sounds. But a huge part of that is learning to ultimately love yourself, to give yourself that permission to love who you want to love. And that's literally the hurdle Basil had to come over, was putting her what was quote unquote expected of her to the side, and really dig deep and say, who am I? What do I want? And that was a huge part. And same for even Caroline. And we saw it again with how Lynn was talking to Caroline at the bar and was like, told their story. And you see the themes. Like when you create, there's multiple themes in books a lot of times, but there's usually that one that sticks out the most. And everything as a writer and like learning about craft and things like that, but I've really gathered to every character, every moment, every scene should be supporting or pushing your characters toward the thing that they need, not what necessarily they want. And that was so I understand that it's like, oh, it's this depth of theme, but that is kind of the point. Like every scene, every chapter, every moment should be challenging that narrative that the character is like, well, I want this though. Well, you might want it, but it doesn't mean you can have it.
Mhm.
So, mhm.
I like the woo woo. That's good. So,
Yeah, I'm a little woo woo. I like the woo woo too. Yeah.
so I'm looking at time, and I know we wanted to leave some time because you have been
Yeah.
teasing us,
I know.
torturing us with your teasing about this big reveal giveaway situation. Can you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's gonna be some more details that come out officially. But I wanted to do something really special. I know it's been a lot. This year's been, you hear a little bit on like social media. I'm tired. Everyone's tired. It's been a year, y'all. It's been a year. So I wanted to give back. The Honeymoon Mix-Up did really well in regards to like just reached a lot of people. I never would have thought today that we would be here having this conversation. And I just wanted to give back and do like a really fun big giveaway, like really, really big. And I wanted to bring in some guest authors involved with that. And I wanted to show you. So again, we go back to like the Easter egg. There's something I did drop in the book. And I don't know if you've been following the news, people on my newsletter have been following, but I talked about the SM box, right? And the SM box, or the Sapphic Mischief book box, is what I created, amongst with another type of more safe for work style of a book box, your typical book box, and then some other small giveaway bundles. So we're going to be doing a big giveaway. And I actually, when I wanted to talk about that, it'll start soon. We'll get some announcements going. I try my best to work with Black owned, usually Black owned, definitely try is BIPOC owned businesses, queer owned, queer friendly businesses, and just really support them. Um, and these just came in. I hope you can see this. But
Uh,
these just came in today. This is a custom notebook, and it's called the Fire Fucket List. It's like a bucket list, but for sex.
Awesome.
So today I have multiple of these. So today, I'm gonna leave it to y'all, lovely host, we'll figure out how to go. Everyone here that's here has an opportunity to win. I'll send this along with the signed paperback. I just need an address, and I'll send it to you. Um, and we'll go from there. That's just as a thank you from being here. And
Awesome.
I was thinking maybe we can have people who want to make, want to enter the competition.
Yeah.
Send us an email saying what the next step is for Caroline and Basil. And the
Nice.
best one, you can pick the best one.
Deal.
That a good one?
That's fun. Yeah, heck yeah, that's fun.
Okay, so
Let's do
send
that.
them to sapphic@gmail.com. Keep
Yeah.
them coming and get creative.
Join this giveaway and get your hands on the epic Fyre Fuck It List notebook and a signed copy of the Honeymoon Mix-Up. Answer this question. What happens next for Caroline and Basil? Email your answer to sapphic@gmail.com. Do that before October 22nd and Frankie will pick a winner. Maybe it's you.
And as always, be welcome to come back. And thank you, Frankie, for being here.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for everyone
Bye,
participating.
everyone.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.